Nick Alajazian was got a meniscus last Wednesday, I believe, and so he'll be out for spring. So we're a little bit thinner in the offensive line again. It's unfortunate, but it's just a 3-month procedure that he'll have done. Expect him back, but that's the only guy right now as far as Mac Brown's surgery went well, and that's where we are right now as far as our injuries. We're just getting a little thin on both lines of scrimmage. We plan on teeing it up a little more and scrimmaging, but it'll be interesting to see, again, with being pretty thin on both sides of the ball, how many snaps we will be able to get in. We just got to do a good job as a staff is monitoring that. We've really worked a lot of situational work as far as red zone, third down, coming out, coming off the goal line, situations, end of game situations that come up that we've got a very experienced staff of guys that have come up with a lot of different situations that we'll practice and go through, because in this league we're going to have 4 or 5 games that'll come down to the end of the game, and you got to be good at the end of the game. So making good decisions, not just as coaches but as players, and putting as many situation work as we can with our football team right now. So
your assessment of the wide receivers?
Well, I think that obviously Frankie and Omarius have been the most consistent. I think Quentin has made a lot of vertical plays down the field and has been really a guy that's a weapon outside because of his size, his vertical speed down the field. He's catching the ball extremely well down the field. Those would be the guys that would jump out. Deontay's done some really nice things and obviously has a lot of experience, and a guy that can really stretch the field vertically. Andre Dubois sprained his ankle, but will be back. He's fine. There's nothing serious. We've held him for a couple days, hoping to get him back tomorrow, hopefully, or maybe the first part of next week. We need to have guys continue to step up at that position so we can develop more depth. But obviously, with that being said, Jordan Reed is having a really good spring at tight end. And he's a matchup issue for a defense. I mean, it's, what are you going to put on him in your mans and your zones, and he's able to stretch the field vertically, block on the perimeter, block on the edge, block at the point of attack. Been very pleased with his spring.
Decision making, you were talking about. Johnny Brantley obviously is the guy that everybody's going to notice in the decisions he makes. How pleased are you with his progress?
Very well. I mean, I think he's managing our football team very well. He's got a lot on his plate. It's a quarterback system as far as in the run game and the pass game, and we're very pleased with where he is at this point.
Will, are you going to have enough linemen and running backs to have a traditional spring game, or will some guys have to play on both teams?
Well, we're going to probably have an offense that scores for the blue and an offense that scores for the orange. We need to have a good functional day within teaching our schemes, and I think when you divide, number one, we're too thin to divide up, but number two, I don't want to get a guy matched up in a bad mismatch issue and you can't get the ball off in some situations, and that certainly can happen, especially as thin as we are. So that's kind of the operation we're going to have. We met as a staff this morning and talked about the spring game and the procedures we will go through.
Well, I saw Xavier Nixon in a boot. What's his status?
He sprained an ankle, and he'll be fine. That's pretty standard procedure as far as having an ankle sprain. May get him back tomorrow or definitely first part of next week. We certainly feel like he will be back first part of next week. That all that does is a good compression on the ankle to limit swelling and things, and that's pretty much standard.
How many functional offensive linemen do you have at the moment?
Well, we're working about 7. That's total bodies too. I mean, that's all we got. But again, injuries are part of the game. There's nobody feeling sorry for the Gators right now. I can tell you that. So that's what we've got. Injuries are part of it. You got to have other guys step up. One man's misfortunes, another man's opportunity. Somebody else got to step up. You build depth on your football team through these times and through these situations. You find out a lot more about your football team in these situations. So it's something that happens. We don't have any excuses around here.
Have you modified how much you wanted to get done this spring and how much of the offense and defense did you want to throw at them because of all the injuries and the guys out?
No, we felt like it was important to continue to teach, and as well as the guys were learning it. Not necessarily just throwing it out there because that's what we do. I mean, we've done a good job, I think, of managing how much we carry on both sides of the ball.
Well, what are you guys doing to keep Jacoby Brissett, even though he's not here? What are you doing to kind of keep him up to speed?
Well, Jacoby came up during his spring break and spent 3 or 4 days with us as far as sitting in the meetings and being out at practice and learning this and things. So and he will spend more time obviously when summer comes in. But we've got a video playbook that we go through with our players that we put together on both sides of the ball. That's more of a teaching terminology, formation sets, routes, run game. We have a pretty extensive teaching, not necessarily on paper, but a video that you can learn from. So when you get here, you're familiar with the terminology.
Can that be enough to put him on an even playing field with everyone else come August, or is he got to accept that he's going to be at a disadvantage?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage. I'd just say that's the situation. I think that, again, you don't ever know. I mean, this recruiting process, it's amazing. These people rate these guys, and this guy's a no-brainer. He's going to play as a freshman. I mean, who knows? I don't know how these guys are going to respond when they get here, whether they've been here mid-year or not. How well he takes to the system, the terminology, how much study he does in the spring, in the summer. I think obviously is very critical, which he's a very conscientious young man, so I would assume that he will, certainly that he's going to come in very well prepared.
It's only been a couple of weeks, but you are throwing a new offense and new defense out there. Are you happy with the way they're responding, progressing?
Well, no, the guys are working very hard, and we've had great off days of watching film and learning, and I think that for the most part they're paying attention to great detail in what we're trying to do and learn what we do. What I told them today after practice is now it's not just learning what to do, learning why we do it's important too. I mean, when we call a play on 3rd and 8, you know, anticipate what call Charlie's going to call, anticipate what Dan's going to call defensively, play the game. And that's what we need to start doing now as we progress forward, is not just learning what to do, learning why to do it and why we're doing it that way, and the situational football that comes up. And that's part of being a smart football team, is understanding those situations, and that's what we're trying to teach right now.
You changed a lot of guys from and working other guys, cross-training them. Is there anybody that's moved to a new position that's particularly stood out for you?
Well, I think John Harrison at center's been a guy that's done a nice job. There's an awful lot on the center as far as snapping and blocking, and if you've never done it before, there's an awful lot to it. And I've been pleased with his progress. Again, we've interchanged on both sides. Lorente McCray has played some Sam linebacker for us. I've been pleased with his progress and what he's doing. Earl Okine has played both end and inside. I've been pleased with his progress. I mean, there's been some pleasant surprises for us in some cross-training work.
Well, Chris Rainey was not allowed to talk to the media last year. What went into your decision to allow him to kind of be one of those faces and voices of the team going forward?
Well, I don't know about last year. Chris is going to be a productive football player for us. He's a senior. He's been a very productive football player for University of Florida, and I think that he needs that access to the media, and I think y'all deserve that access with him.
You trust him with it, I guess?
There's no, I trust him. I certainly do.
Was there a process to that, or you just give him a clean slate when you come in?
I mean, Chris Rainey has worked very tremendously hard since I've been here, and he's done everything we've asked him to do, and there's been nothing that has been any glitch as far as how he has performed on and off the field for us since I've been at the University of Florida, and that's really all I go off of. And so that's the determination that was made through that, and he's we all go through a maturing stage in our life, and I certainly think that obviously whatever happened, I don't even know, maybe he grew up from and learned from.
Couple final questions.
Well, I'd like to ask you about a couple of assistants. Your thoughts on working with Frank Verducci, what you've seen out of him this spring, and also reuniting with Tavares Robinson.
Well, Frank is a great teacher. He's not a holler and a screamer. Most of these offensive line coaches, they just want to hear themselves talk. Frank does a great job of teaching. He teaches the players, very professional. Does a great job of communicating with players about what to do and how to do it. Demands great effort. I've been very pleased with their execution to this point. A lot has been thrown at them, and on learning a system, number one, but number two, what they're seeing on defense right now. So just really pleased with his demeanor with the players, and I really enjoy the working relationship that he and Charlie have, to listen to them on the field talk about, what I'm thinking here. You understand what I want here. I got you, in the run game and in the protections, and that's something that, really is important in the coaching world, is the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach being on the same page. Tavares Robinson is an outstanding football coach. He was able to come back and was a graduate assistant for me, and you saw from day one he had a tremendous knowledge, and he appeals to young people. He gravitates to him as a coach, as a person. He does a phenomenal job on the field as far as coaching and getting the message across, and the players playing for him. And motivation of players is as much important to me as far as teaching is concerned. That's part of it. And he certainly inspires learning in our group as far as what we're doing and how we're doing and getting the guys to play.
Final question, guys.
Does it feel like time's running out leading up to next Saturday?
No, we got a lot of time, and we got tomorrow, and then we got 3 good work days next week, and then obviously I don't view the spring game any different than I view tomorrow. it's an opportunity for our football team to get better. You get 15 chances to get better, and I really think in our 10 so far, I feel pretty good about 9 of them. There's one I don't know if we made much progress that day, but I've been pleased with the progress. I look forward to getting out in front of the Gator Nation in our stadium, and our guys really take a lot of pride when they run out there and play, and we appreciate the support we have.